I'm very excited to be joining HID, joining a company that is so central in many ways to the ID issuance world. Two or three short-term personal goals would be, firstly, solidify my understanding of HID's positioning in the market. Secondly, get out and meet my team, who are based literally from California to Malaysia and everywhere in between, so that's been a bit of a challenge. And then in amongst that and beyond that first few weeks is getting out to see our key customers and partners to really understand where it is that HID can start to add more value, because we're getting a lot of customers now telling us that they want us to do more for them. I need to understand better what it is we can be doing. The key developments come in a number of areas. Clearly, the evolution of ever more security, both physical and digital, is going to be a continuing theme. And I think another one in which HID plays an incredibly central role is the shift from non-electronic to electronic documents. We can't expect civil servants to be experts in technology, and I think the challenge that civil servants face in creating and implementing these schemes is enormous. I think industry can help those people in both specifying and rolling out their projects by involving them more in the setting of standards, by helping them understand why and how to issue documents securely and in a manner that facilitates their citizens. So get them involved in the early stages, get them to understand how the standards evolve, get them to events like Security Document World. I was with a customer only last week who I had a very interesting conversation with. This customer implemented an EID scheme some years ago, and I think to this day probably feels that the citizens, although they've been issued with an EID, they have a document which does little more than show their face and their biographical details. That customer was very, very clear to me that the next generation EID for his country that he's looking to specify and implement shortly must do a lot more, must facilitate citizens' interaction with the state, with their bank, over the internet, with their mobile phone, in ways that nobody could have imagined before, but ways in which citizens have come to expect technology to work for them as they have experienced such technology in their lives as consumers. We are very much a global company, of course. My team, I mentioned, is based on 5 continents. So I think our perspective of ID as it pertains to all the regions of the world is deep and detailed. So where the rest of the world, not talking about passports, but more internal documents, is tending towards national IDs and similar documents. The US, of course, issues some 50 different national IDs in the form of its driver's licenses, and indeed non-drivers' driver's licenses. So you've got DMVs in the 50 different states issuing essentially 50 or more different documents to citizens. The evolution of those documents, I think, is where we will see the US look more like the other regions of the world eventually, but I think we have some way to go. Currently, lots of those documents are still essentially security printed Haslam or other materials with no electronic element to them. Some of the border states bordering Canada and Mexico do have an RFID chip in them to allow cross-border movement, for which the readability, of course, is a very important factor. I think as more and more states start to move towards electronic documents, which, as I say, I don't see coming quickly, but it's coming, that's where the US ID market will start to look more like the other regions of the world.